Well, hey now, everybody. It's the Rob from 106.1 KISS FM here with my tag team partner in podcasting, the wonderful Jerry Valeri. Good morning, Jer.
Good morning. It's almost afternoon. Well, not there. You're an hour behind me.
It's almost 10 o'clock here. I'm sorry, I had a road show today.
Got to go take care of those animals.
Yeah, oh man, there were a few puppies there this time I had a hard time saying goodbye to.
Do you have a legit hard time? Because I would. The only thing that keeps me when we do that, like Paws brings animals in, the only thing that keeps me sane and keeps me from breaking is the fact that I know Toby would kill them. Toby, even at 12 pounds, Toby hates other dogs. He would try to kill them.
Yeah, I feel bad because I know that Layla preferred being an only dog, and then we brought home Roxy one day, and I don't think Layla, she doesn't hate Roxy. They get along just fine, but she was happier being the sole dog of the house. Roxy's super duper playful. I think Roxy likes that. Roxy loves her big sister. It's weird, but yeah, there were some really cute beagle mixes out there that were really young pups that I was like, my God, how do I not bring you home?
Easy. You're getting married soon, and she'll kill you.
Oh, no, she wouldn't.
Oh, she's just as big of a liability when it comes to dogs.
No, it's like, no, she would not be mad if I just brought one home, but I need to use my brain, and it's stuff like that. Like, yeah, it's like, exactly, getting married, going on a honeymoon, trying to afford things. Like, we have 2 dogs already. After that, we're being outnumbered. There's more dogs than people.
That should be the name of our book someday, Trying to Afford Things.
Because we will be writing a book. Let that be known.
It's gonna happen. We've talked about it a million times. I think it would be good. I think it would be a good book.
All we need to do is just go back through our text messages and figure out, because we've got the stories.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a wrestling book. It'd be a radio book.
Yeah. Radio is in no way what people think it is. It's
not at all.
It's so not what people think it is. And we both worked for many different stations. I've worked for a number of different companies. You've worked for a handful too. It's like, it's not just one company. Radio in general is not what people think it is.
Well, it's funny. I think absolutely everybody has an idea of what they think radio is, and they're all wrong. The people that think that it's a super glamorous, show busy thing, that you're wrong. But the people that are disenfranchised or jaded or had a cup of coffee in radio, we all know these people. They did. Oh, I did radio. In college I did radio, and if you make no money and it's a bunch of garbage. You're wrong too. Like they don't get it either. So people in sales, I still think they don't know what radio is. I'm not the end all be all. We're not the only authority, but people that live radio in big markets or small markets, we're the only ones that can tell you what it's like, and it's insane.
Yeah, it's just, I'm not saying it's good or bad by saying it's just not what people think it is.
Not what people think it is.
So I bet you wrestling's probably like that too. It's from what I can tell, the deeper you get into it, the easier it is to hate.
I've noticed the similarity for me is the ones that are the most successful are the ones that are in it for the right reason, and the reason is because they love it.
Oh, no, well, see, for me, boy, you agree with that? I'm surprised you agree with that on both fronts.
I feel like the people that have a passion for professional wrestling and work the hardest and really try to work their craft, they're the ones that are maybe not the most successful, but they're the ones that get the most out of it. And I feel the same way in radio, because that's me. Like I'm not in it to be famous. I'm not in it for glamour or anything like that. But we know people that are. We know people that live and die by the selfies. And
oh well, I'll meet you halfway, and I'll say that in both wrestling and in radio, I don't think being successful makes you, or being talented makes you the most successful.
No, there are people in big markets that are absolute garbage. You are right about that.
Same with wrestling. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
So that's my thought about that. But we'll focus more on wrestling. I'm flashing. I'm just hoping, as long as Jerry's not echoing, we're gonna deal with the strobe light party in on my studio.
You're on the bad computer, so I'm a little nervous about this.
Yeah, well, the good computer has been Maddie's computer, and Maddie's computer isn't here this morning.
Way to go, Maddie.
Right, exactly.
Way to blow it.
Way to blog at the Humane Society.
Let's get to the topic at hand, and the topic is something we've loved for 25 years, Rob.
Yeah, dude, I've got no notes. I'm just going to shoot from the hip, and we're going to talk about now that Raw is turning 25. Technically, it would have been a few weeks ago or last week, but they're celebrating next week on TV. We're going to talk about some of the real highlights and memories of the 25 years of Monday Night Raw.
Monday Night Raw. And, I listened to the Bruce Pritchard podcast about them starting Monday Night Raw. And what was interesting to me was the thing that they were trying to create, like this live, this unfiltered, raw way of doing things. They got away from at one point, and that's when WCW capitalized. And they started going live, and they started being a little more raw than Raw itself was.
There was definitely a time when Nitro was more raw than Raw was.
But
at the same time, Raw's presentation when it started was very unique. There wasn't a live show doing wrestling at the time the way that they were presenting it, with big stars and, the major league angles happening. I
think it's weird for me, and no one will do it at the Raw anniversary next week. It's weird to start a Raw podcast by thanking WCW Nitro, but I will, because they gave me my favorite Raws. The Monday Night Wars were unbelievable.
They are by far the best shows. It's so funny because when I was recovering from my surgery, so this would have been 2 years ago now, I watched it's a 20-disc box set or something. Maybe it's 12 discs. I don't remember how many discs, but it's Raw 20, and it's like the 20 best episodes of Raw. I think it was 12 DVDs. And you could tell that they're trying to be really all over the place, like pick from different eras kind of thing. But, like, I guarantee you, if you're going to rank the top 20 Raws, they would all be from the Attitude Era, probably written by Russo and Ferrara.
Yeah, Russo and Ferrara get just bagged on. Well, Russo really just gets tanked.
It's so funny. You're right, because Ed Ferrara deserves every bit of the praise and criticism that Russo does. But I guess because Russo was so spotlighted that he kind of was left holding the bag. But for me, that's a good thing. For most people, it's a bad thing, I think. Right.
Well, that's the thing with Ed, is he doesn't get any of the praise, but he also doesn't get any of the criticism, so he's probably okay with that at this point. I think back to moments that people are going to mention, I think, the most. Where they're going to mention DX invading WCW. That was a high mark.
Yeah, so I started watching. Did you notice that after SmackDown there was a Raw special? Did your DVR record that?
It did not record that. I wouldn't have watched it anyways because it was on too late. But it didn't record it. No, I didn't get it.
Well,
but I did watch the abomination that was the mixed match challenge that was just buffering.
Oh, I haven't seen that yet.
Good luck, man. It's slow.
We'll talk about that next week because I'm curious as to what your thoughts about that are. But
sure.
So, well, I haven't finished it yet, and I mean, I've seen countless DVDs or network specials about the best Raw moments or whatever. Some of them are genuine. Like, some of them really upset me. Like I mentioned last week, I think it was actually the week you were out. One of the ones that they put in the top 20 is that stupid stare down between Triple H and Undertaker, where they say no words but yet sign the match for WrestleMania.
Whatever.
And even the Festival of Friendship is a modern one that, maybe over time could get there, but there are some bona fide moments that I think have aged well and do define Raw. Like, for example,
and I haven't watched the special, but I'm afraid I'll probably mention some of the ones that they put on there. Go ahead.
I'm only at like number 20 or maybe 17 or so. I haven't finished it. Like the Steve Austin beer truck one
Loved that.
Is a great example of one I didn't even appreciate at the time, but it is like maybe the moment of Raw. Like when I think about the biggest moments, that was one of them.
That was huge for me. The Austin McMahon moment that sticks out in my head the most is the fake gun, the bang, and McMahon pees his pants.
That one's great. I'm glad you mentioned that one. There's Austin and McMahon in the hospital room. Oh, I'll take it from here, nurse.
Clang with the bedpan.
Or my favorite, Mr. Sacco.
Oh, I mean, all of the Mr. Sacco and Austin and Rock and Sock Connection, Rock, This Is Your Life. Like, The Rock, Stone Cold, Vince McMahon, and Mick Foley really made Raw amazing for me.
Yeah. Other things like with Austin, I mean, there was like a time period where like every other week he was driving some new vehicle into the arena. I mean, it'd be a beer truck, it'd be a Zamboni, it'd be a monster truck, it'd be, whatever it was just always it was so exciting.
Well, and that's basically what they're doing now with Braun Strowman, only he's not driving stuff, he's just breaking stuff.
Yes, that's true.
It's just every week it's something new, and I think that might be why I like it, because it's reminiscent of that kind of backstage insanity. But it was good. Mankind winning the World Championship, I thought, it's one of my favorite moments because he's my favorite. And it wasn't spoiled for me on WCW because I wasn't watching Nitro at the time. I was, but I don't know if it was like this for you in Doylestown, but after Raw, they would just replay Nitro anyways. So I would just stay up till 1 a.m.
Yeah,
I'd watch both shows.
I wasn't. I don't know why I wasn't. I was never watching both. Like I should have been. And now
you could. They replayed Nitro.
I know,
it was perfect.
But I didn't. I was one team or the other. Usually I was WWF. There was I would say right around when Nitro became the more popular show in the ratings, my tastes were kind of NWO, and Bret Hart jumped over there, and my interest definitely for maybe a solid year and a half were more into what WCW was doing.
The Monday Night Wars would never work now anyways because people would just DVR one and watch the other.
Correct. That is a big thing. And here's another relationship between radio and wrestling. The ratings don't mean as much as people think they do anymore.
No, because no one can really tell who's watching what and when. Listen, I have a bunch of favorite shows. I love This Is Us. There are a lot of shows that I really like.
Holy cow, This Is Us is so good.
And I still don't know what night of the week it's on. The only show that I like that I know that's when it's on is a sporting event or Raw, and that's it.
You just get happy when you see a new one in your DVR.
Just a new one in the DVR. Oh, good, we can catch up this weekend.
Yeah, it's like the way a magazine would come in the mailbox. I don't know what day it comes. I just know I'm happy when Nintendo Power's in my mailbox.
Oh man, I do miss Nintendo Powers.
Yeah. So I think we can all probably agree that Attitude Era stuff, or at least for people our age, were home run after home run. I mean, Raw was can't miss in the Attitude Era. It was can't miss. But there's some other stuff that is worth talking about. Like, for example, I know I have not been watching Raw for 25 years. It's getting close, but I started watching wrestling in SummerSlam 94. And the reason I started watching Raw was very simple. I needed to know what was going on with Bret Hart and his brother Owen. I just needed to know. And my only real glimpse would be on Monday nights on USA, so I started adding that to my shows that I watched. And I remember during school, during the first 6 grades, I had to go to like CCD for like Christian kids on Monday nights, and like I'd have to kind of tape the beginning of Raws because it was always kind of stepping on the toes of, Mom wouldn't let me skip God class, if you know what I mean.
Because those God classes really stuck.
Well, dude, it was everyone I knew did it. Everyone.
Of course.
I mean, it was just like another class at school. It was just at nighttime on Monday nights. So, but man, after that, it's like once you got related to the characters or acclimated to the characters. You started to relate to some of them. You had your favorites. You had your ones you didn't like. Then it became like, I don't get how people stop watching. You know?
I fell out of it for a while. You fall out of it, I think, when different things happen. Like when I had kids now brought me back. But when I first started having kids 10 years ago, I just stopped watching. I didn't have time, and when I did turn it on, it wasn't very good.
Yeah, well, 10 years ago, it wasn't hard to turn off.
I mean, it was really bad. Like I missed a lot of it. I missed, I've gone back since and watched it, but I missed all of the CM Punk stuff. And I know everyone loves that pipe bomb. I even met CM Punk once at a show that I went to, but I didn't really watch when he was there at all. So
the pipe bomb thing was a real moment in wrestling. That might be my number one favorite promo ever.
I mean, it's awesome. I watched it, and it's great. And did it produce good matches? I don't know. I hear he's one of the best. I never really watched CM Punk. So I did kind of get detached there for a while, but I came back.
You came back, if I'm not mistaken, at my request around WrestleMania 30.
I came back at your request, and then I stuck around, and Evan started getting more into it, and then I was in.
Yeah, Evan's the man. Evan's the man, and I'm sure that made it much easier for you to like something like this and not miss it when you're doing it with your boy.
Did you know how cool it is? On Saturday, I'm going to see the house show with him and Allison and my wife, and they're all excited to see it. Like
yeah.
It's nobody's belly aching. It's gonna be good. And
yeah.
Evan knows everybody, so it's cool.
Brittany doesn't watch at all, really, but she deals with it in the background, but she gets excited when they come to town too.
But I promise, if Evan's ever talking to someone about Raw's 50th anniversary, I saw his reaction on Tuesday when he saw it after school. Braun Strowman flipping that truck's going to be up there for him. I mean, like, he and his friend were going crazy.
Mm-hmm. No, you're right. So if you want to keep it on like the early years or like childhood memories, I know that we both. What's that?
Go ahead.
Well, I don't know how much we were into it as youngsters because I wasn't watching then, but I know we've both gone back and watched and it seems to have held up because this was in the top 25 moments. The insanity that happened when enhancement talent Sean Waltman 123 Kid actually beats Razor Ramon on a live Raw for $10,000.
I mean, that was great, and I think what follows over the next couple of weeks, you and I have discussed, should be taught in a class as to how to pace a feud.
Well, it wasn't just the past couple. The next couple of weeks was also the weeks before that. It just give us a little bit every week. Give us the buffet. Give me a little bit of the salad. Give me a little bit of an appetizer. Give me a drink. Give me a main event, a main course. Give me a little bit of dessert, and that's a great meal.
It was easier to give a little piece every week when you only had an hour.
Correct. Very true. But I mean, like, there'd be weeks where you wouldn't see the champion, or like, I mean, if you watch those first 10 Raws, I think you see Hogan on like one of them. It's like it was written very differently back then, and I did appreciate the pacing of shows back then, and now it's just so much content. It's hard to appreciate when something really exciting happens.
Because every hour, something exciting happens. They end and begin a new hour with something exciting every time.
I guess, or you could say nothing exciting.
Or try to.
Or just that, the bar has changed so much over the past 25 years that, just Hogan making an appearance used to be exciting in 93. Now you got to work a lot harder than that, rightly or wrongly. You do. You got to have Braun Strowman flipping an airplane.
It's got to be more than Hogan must pose.
Right, exactly. Do you have forget the top 25 lists? Do you have a favorite Raw moment? Because I do. And mine is in the top 25, although it might surprise people. I feel like I may have mentioned it before. But my favorite memory of Raw, when I feel like I was most into wrestling, when people ask me what was my favorite segment in Raw, it was Triple H invading the Test Stephanie McMahon wedding.
I was going to mention that wedding. I loved that wedding. I would probably say Mankind winning the championship
Okay.
But right behind it is DX invading Nitro.
Excellent.
And that test wedding. Those are like my 3 favorite things.
Yeah, I was very into DX, but I just feel like if I had to put a ground zero of when I was most into wrestling, and I believe that was like November of 99. It was around Armageddon of 99, I think. Because that's when the angle played out when Stephanie turned on her dad. But that was when I was most into wrestling, when Raw was the most can't miss for me. Raw was the least missable then, to me.
Absolutely. And fortunately, I got to go to a few Raws in that time period. And then we met, and I enjoyed wrestling, and I enjoyed the wrestling that you and I got to enjoy together. You know, there was some pretty good stuff. That was right around WrestleMania 21 time that you and I were watching together and going to shows.
Yeah, we were watching wrestling together around 2005.
Do you think that Batista moment where he decided to go to Mania against Triple H, with that whole thing, do you think that is as important or as cool a memory for either one of us if we're not there and we didn't have lunch with Batista earlier that day?
That is a very easy question for me to answer.
Okay.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
I feel
it's one of my favorite Raw moments, but it's not a
correct.
top Raw moment. It just is for us.
I will say, to your credit, that was one of the top 20 episodes that WWE put on that DVD. That State College Raw, but I was dumbfounded that it would be on there because...
Well, they put it on there because Chris Masters debuted that night.
You're joking. I know you're laughing. I know you're joking.
You think I'm serious? The Master Lock?
He did debut that night, but there was really I don't know why that was just special for us. Like we were best friends with Batista for a day. It happened to be when Batista blew the F up. It was a great time to be buddies with Batista all day. But yeah, I don't think that the people watching this are like, man, when Batista powerbombed Triple H through a table was one of the best Raw moments. I think that one's just for you and me.
It was just for you and me. I mean, earlier that day we're having boneless wings and talking about people putting their hands down Randy Orton's pants at shows.
Yeah,
right. Like that was just a fun day.
Yes, that was the day Brother John grew 6 inches.
And I don't remember. And I don't remember. I've been to so many Raws, but I don't remember any really. I saw the first draft.
Yeah, that was in State College. I was not there for that. Although we were at a Raw where a world title change happened, which is kind of exciting for a Raw.
That's all because Rob Van Dam got super high.
Yeah, he got caught with pot on, I want to say, the Pennsylvania Turnpike by a police officer with Sabu. And Van Dam was champ at the time. Officer didn't care. So that Monday, which happened to be in Philadelphia, it was a double taping, if I'm not mistaken. It was a Raw and SmackDown Super Show.
What's RVD weed?
Jerry made a great sign that said, "I sell RVD weed." What a greatly timed sign, by the way.
Yes. Oh, we were ready with signs.
My stepdad, Chip, is walking by us making the signs, and he sees Jerry making a sign that says, "I sell RVD weed." And he knows nothing about wrestling, so Chip says, "What's RVD weed?"
Because it's I sell RVD, some weed.
Yeah, right.
It just looks like it's a brand of weed.
Wrestling fans get it. Chip thinks it's a strain of weed, and I'm hanging out with drug dealers.
But I think, I just hope somebody like RVD saw that sign and was like, "Oh, come on, you're killing me."
I don't think there was those signs have existed long before you made them. Yeah. I don't think he was like. Although I did get a good reaction from a wrestler one time about a sign. It was really weird. So in the summer of 2002, I was at a Raw with my other friend Jerry, and there was a SmackDown the next night in like or maybe I guess hold on, it might have been, I forget if they were doing. So I went to 2 different shows. I forget what they were. One was Raw, one was like a SmackDown, whatever. Justin Credible is doing both of them. This is 2002.
Okay.
And this was when Justin was really fading away. And I made a sign that said "Justin Visible" that I was kind of proud of. So the first night he sees it and he points at it and he claps. And then the very next night, we're at a taping, not the same city, but a close by city that we went to, and he sees it and he acts like he's really mad about it. And my friend and I, Jerry and I, thought that, well, that was so neat. Last night he loved it. I thought he would love it again. Now he hates it. Maybe someone explained to him what it meant. I don't exactly know what happened, but he didn't like it the second night and he loved it the first night.
Maybe he's not great at reading. He's like, that says just incredible. I like it. Nice. Thanks for the sign. And you're like, it says just invisible.
He's probably walking to the back. That didn't say credible. That said visible.
Just keep coming up with different ones. Just inevitable, just invisible. Just
Well, I mean, when you're trying to be exposed to the world, being invisible is less than flattering.
It's the word.
So, also around that time, we got there was a memorable Raw I was at also with the other Jerry. It was the one where Kevin Nash, like, I don't know if he broke his leg or pulled a muscle, but he took 2 steps into like his first match back. It was like an 8-man tag with the Dudleys and other people, and he roars in pain, collapses to the ground. Video. It's amazing to watch that back. And it is also the same show that this is one of my most proudest moments, because I believe WrestleCrap has called this match Jackie Gata and, boy, how did it work? It was Jackie Gata and Chris Nowinski taking on Trish Stratus and JBL.
Oh,
and
you showed this to me. Didn't you say this is the worst match of all time?
It was for a long time regarded as the worst televised match that's ever happened. And it's hard to argue. And I'm so proud that I was in the building for what was probably the worst match of all time.
I'm like, I was there for Mankind going off the cell. And you're like, I was there for the Jackie Gata match.
I was there for the Tough Enough guys.
Oh, man. Where do you rank? This is a weird thing, and I don't know if it'll get celebrated, but the tribute shows. Because they did a couple tribute shows. People would die, and they would do tributes. What do you think about those as far as Raw moments?
I feel like there's really only been 2, in my opinion. I'll explain what I mean by that.
The Benoit one is weird because I still think that they knew what was going to come out, and that's why they rushed it.
A lot of people do. And that one is really weird. I had that one on tape, which is kind of cool because you're not going to find that one anywhere else. Good luck finding that one. That one's not.
Good luck finding that on the network.
I also have the Owen Hart one, and I don't think that one's available either. But I might be wrong about that.
And the Owen Hart one they caught a lot of flack for because they were catching a lot of flack that day because they went on with the show the night before.
Right, they didn't end the show. I think
they didn't end the show, and they got a lot of criticism for that.
I think they got more for continuing over the edge than they did for having the Raw. But when that happened with Owen, it was so crazy in that it was nowadays wrestlers dying young is not crazy. But the way and circumstances that Owen Hart died, it was so consuming that doing anything else would have felt so weird that day.
And did it have to be at Over the Edge? I mean, like, of all the most unfortunate names for pay-per-views.
Well, I mean, a good thing it wasn't WWE from the rafters.
WWE, come here.
You just don't.
Buy it on pay-per-view. WWE's 150-foot drop.
I guarantee you Jerry's got better in his noggin. And I do too, but let's just not.
Oh, you don't want to.
Let's just not. You know.
You know.
So, I mean, I think we had a pretty solid conversation. I mean, I don't want to just mention, the top 25s over and over again. We've all heard those lists, but those are some of the ones that are different, I think, for us. You have more you want to hit?
Well, no, I mean, they're the top 25s for a reason. Those are really the moments that defined it. And I'm sure I was going to rely on you from like 2007 till now to pick moments that Raw's really stood out. But because I missed a lot of it. But for me, the early days, I was watching wrestling in 1993. I mean, I was watching prime times when they were on TV live on Monday nights. So Raw was just it was so cool when they started going from the ballroom and every week. It wasn't done before. It was great, but at some point they got away from it, and then Nitro took over.
Hey, you know what? I've got a cool thing. I got a little bomb I could probably drop on people. A little bit, not a huge bomb. Which, by the way, remember we're moving to GBF next week. This is our last episode on Kiss.
I'm not getting involved with this again. You can tell them.
YouTube.com/103GBF Rocks. That's where we're going to be next week. But here's something kind of cool. There is one moment in the history of Raw that I think was in extremely bad taste. That, listen, I'm a guy who grew up listening to Howard Stern since he was 12 years old. I'm a guy who loved the Attitude Era. There's one segment I think was offensive and went too far and should not have happened. I think it didn't have a payoff. I think it was just gratuitous, and it was just blatantly disgusting to even me.
What is it?
Do you want to take a guess?
Are you going to say the Edge Lita sex scene?
I'm shocked that you guessed it. I hated that segment. Listen, I've seen my fair share of porno in my life. Like I said, I grew up listening to Howard Stern as long as I can remember. I've said crazy things on the radio a time or two. I am not easy to offend. I hate that segment. It's so dumb.
Well, they were never going to be able to pay it off. That's the thing. You're promising something you can't give us.
No, they did deliver it, and that was what I thought was offensive.
They never really did it.
It depends on who you ask.
I thought you were either going to say that or Mae Young giving birth to a hand.
No, that was dumb in an Attitude Era kind of way.
The
live sex thing, man, it was just like, that's not what I want out of wrestling. I just don't I don't know how to explain it except for here's one of the best examples I can give. I remember being at a Thanksgiving at my aunt and uncle's house, and wrestling came up. And I remember China was on the cover of Playboy at the time. And someone was saying I don't even get why you watch that stuff. And I remember my uncle chiming in and be like, I saw the cover of that Playboy magazine. I know why you watch that stuff. And in my head, I'm thinking honestly, that's not why I watch this stuff. I don't go to wrestling to be titillated. I don't go there for pornographic relief.
Right.
There's just some, I don't know how else to explain it. That's not why I'm there. I don't mind an attractive girl on the screen, but that's not why I'm here.
Yeah, I've never gotten into that. I've never understood that. If I want porn, I'm going to go get porn. I don't get turned on by video games with big boobs.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
While I like seeing sexy girls in wrestling, not once have I ever been I have to pause this and take care of some business.
I know. It's exactly. And the live sex celebration, it was just if I had a kid, which I obviously didn't, I would have been this is unexplainable. If someone, I lived by myself in Montana at the time, so it's not like my mom would have walked in, but how do you explain what the hell's going on the screen to somebody who doesn't watch wrestling when that's going on?
That whole time of wrestling, if you had a kid, you wouldn't have ever seen that because you would have been gone long before that.
Yeah, I know. There's
no way I could have shown Evan the Attitude Era. No way.
That was not Attitude Era. That was 06, 07.
For me, when does the Attitude Era really end?
It's done by 02, I'll tell you that.
Okay. Then what do you call that stuff?
Oh,
it's still edgy. They're still bleeding. They're still swearing. Maybe it's not Attitude anymore. Maybe it's just gratuitously graphic. It's the graphic era.
I forget what I labeled that era as. But it was it may have been the rated R era because they were trying to be so Edge was doing the rated R superstar thing and he was the champion and just he had the rated R spinning title and the show was just trying so hard to offend. I just hate that segment. I don't like that segment at all. And that's my bombshell.
I don't feel one way or the other about it. So like I'm okay. I didn't love it. It wasn't going to be on my top list. I bet it makes their list though. Don't you think? WWE is going to say it's good.
They might say it's top 100, but I doubt they'll say it's top 25. And even still, I don't think it's going to make the special that makes USA. It was just, I hated that. Leave me a comment. Like, tell us, am I off base on this one? Did you guys like the live sex celebration? I thought it was ridiculous.
I would rather, because I don't think anyone's going to say you're off base. I would rather. Is anybody surprised at how passionate Rob is about this? Like, this is a hot take.
I hate it. Yeah, I never liked it.
I mean, you are fuming over this one, and so not liking it's one thing, but absolutely, positively, without a doubt, saying I hate it. My least favorite moment in wrestling ever. The term I use is, like I said, I don't get offended easily, but I was offended by it. It just offended me. Right.
And I can't think of any other time I've been offended by the television before, but I was. So.
Puppies.
Well, you know.
You know.
All right, Jared, thanks for this great conversation. Remember, don't listen to Jerry. Listen to me. Next week, please subscribe to our GBF YouTube channel so that you can continue getting post-to-post live. YouTube.com/103GBF Rocks. So long, Kiss. It was a great several-year run. I loved it. And we're going back to GBF. So stay tuned. YouTube.com/103GBF. And I'm going to cut Jerry off before he has a chance to screw it up. YouTube.com/103GBF Rocks.
We're going to kiss this YouTube station goodbye.